So for me, the inspiration behind this project is actually reasonably sentimental to me. I've always been very obsessive and extremely committed to my career and to this field of sports performance, exercise science, strength and conditioning. But I was somebody who was borderline a degenerate in undergrad, and I had a really tough time not only just understanding the material that was being taught, but also it was very frustrating for me because with something as amazing and as mesmerizing as the human body and human anatomy, it was always baffling to me how I could never really sink my teeth into what we were going through in class. Come to find out after graduation, getting introduced into these fascial concepts through anatomy trains and Thomas Myers and these really the founding fathers of fascial training, it really helped me to make sense of what I felt was an incomplete science and an incomplete academic panel or semester coursework. I just thought that the academic level was very negligent on this side. So once I got to a point where I started to really grasp the concepts of fascia and how it can be involved in training, it was almost like this aha moment where certain things just finally started to make sense. Speaking anecdotally, with the population that I primarily work with, who's just absolutely riddled with injuries, I noticed a direct correlation between the better understanding I had on the fascial side and how to implement this stuff in training. It was showing directly better results with all the athletes that I was working with. Subjective pain levels were coming down. People were moving better with less restriction. We were improving strength. We were improving flexibility. And it was almost like I was doing less or didn't need as many different things to be able to create these outcomes. And I think that it goes back to that integrative piece where when we think about the fascial system, we now know that this is something that has direct impact or influence on all systems throughout the body.
And for myself, it just made me a better clinician. Being a young ATC, kind of going up through the ranks, we're taught in school that it's either this, or this based off testing. But then sometimes I had these crazy cases where I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I think the fascial system was kind of that answer. I think with considering the fascial system, we're really not making ourselves so myopic in one, train of thought. I think it kind of lends itself to, go through different avenues which you never really thought of, or what modern medicine can't really answer right now because it's not in a, published study or anything like that. For instance, proprioception. I mean, we think of proprioception, sure, of where your body's at in space, but there's a lot of fascial considerations to train proprioception and to actually use proprioception as not only as a clinical rehab piece, but to unlock even more athletic potential, which we're trying to do in rehab. It's made me have better outcomes with non-specific joint injuries that it's kind of hard to put your finger on, but you have to put a diagnosis on, specifically like lower back pain and all that stuff. So I think with all things considered, the fascial system was such a kind of godsend answer to a lot of things that I was not taught in school. We did touch on fascia, obviously a little bit, but not in the sense of how in-depth this could be. This lends itself to so many questions that still need answers. However, I think we're going in the right direction in trying to traverse fascia itself. So many things to unlock that we certainly are definitely going towards.
And I think, that ties back to, the base of the inspiration behind this. Jeremy and I have been working together in some capacity for over a decade now, which is kind of weird. But, and what I've noticed as we've gotten better with our understanding on the fascial side is him being on the restorative side as an athletic trainer and me being on the performance side as a strength and conditioning coach. One thing that we've continually noticed is that there is so much more overlap than there is separation. And I think in terms of specifically athletes who are coming off of injury, return to play, and athletes who are perhaps even just a little bit older, like veteran weightlifters and older, professional athletes or guys and girls who are coming out of retirement, their fascial system has been beaten to hell. And there's no sense, or there's really no pragmatic nature to continuing to overload people who are already having trouble sustaining load tolerance. And this is where kind of our two ends have merged, and we've found a tremendous amount of success with that, and we hope that that's reflective in this product.